Welcome to Book to Blueprint, where powerful books become practical blueprints for real life. You do not need more information, you need execution. This is Book to Blueprint. Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're doing something a little different. We're not just summarizing Keith Ferrazzi's Never Lead Alone. Now, we're actually building a practical, step-by-step blueprint that you can use to implement these ideas with your team, like starting tomorrow. And this isn't just theory. Ferrazzi designed this book to be a roadmap. It's packed with what he calls high-return practices that are really meant to fundamentally transform how your team operates. So, let's get right into the blueprint. So here's how we've laid this out. We're going to start with the goal, the core outcome. Then we'll get into the big idea, teamship. We'll cover the operating system, your actual implementation plan, the behaviors you need to make habits, and finally, the common mistakes you'll want to avoid. First things first, let's define the destination, right? Before you start any journey, you've got to know where you're headed. So what's the specific result you're going to get by applying this blueprint? Here is the core premise. It's all about shifting your team from that traditional top-down structure to a group of people who are actively lifting each other up. Ferrazzi has a fantastic term for this, co-elevation, and that is the key to unlocking truly world-class collective performance. So what's the central concept that really powers this whole transformation? Well, it's not just teamwork. It's a whole new way of working that Ferrazzi calls teamship. Teamship really redefines what a successful team even looks like. It's not about one single heroic leader anymore. It's about every single person on the team co-leading and taking ownership. It's about moving from just standard default habits to truly inclusive ways of collaborating. Every great system, it runs on a clear set of rules. For teamship, that operating system is built on a few core, absolutely non-negotiable principles. These are what the book calls the red flag rules. And you should think of them as exactly that. They're foundational, non-negotiable behaviors. If these things aren't happening, it's a major red flag. Each one is a direct commitment to a brand new way of interacting with each other. Okay, so you have the core principles, you have the operating system, but how do you actually install that system on your team? Well, this next section is the heart of the blueprint. It's all about turning theory into concrete, manageable action. The biggest barrier to any change is often just not knowing where to begin. The book gives us a really clear, iterative process to get started that avoids overwhelming your team. This slide basically maps out the entire process for you. And the key thing to notice is that you don't change everything all at once. Instead, you build momentum through a series of teamship sprints. You can see how it works, right? The whole team reads the book, then you tackle one or two practices at a time and focus sprints. You review your progress, and then you just move on to the next one. And here's a really practical look at what your first 2 sprints could be. Notice how specific this is. You've got a clear action, a defined timeline, and a concrete success metric. Now, for teamship to really take hold, certain behaviors just can't be one-off events. They have to become deeply ingrained, recurring habits. So let's look at the most critical ones. This is absolutely crucial. The big shift here is that responsibility moves from a manager holding people accountable to peers holding each other accountable. And why does that matter? Well, it's faster, it's more direct, and it creates a culture of universal ownership. This means you have to stop avoiding conflict and start having courageous, constructive conversations about performance, directly with each other in real time. This quote from a leader at P&G just captures the result perfectly. To get there, their team created this transparent accountability grid that showed everyone's quarterly commitments. A simple tool, but it drove incredible performance because it created absolute clarity and alignment on their one North Star. This is all about creating what Ferrazzi calls a team of seekers. It means your team members become personally invested in each other's development. It means you're asking for feedback after a big presentation. It means you're offering specific, actionable advice to a colleague, not just some vague praise. Every single project becomes a chance to both teach and learn. And look, this goes way beyond the occasional happy hour. Purposeful bonding builds genuine trust. It's about engineering vulnerability and connection, like sharing stories of past failures or personal goals. That psychological safety is the foundation that allows for all that radical candor we just talked about. And you fuel it with constant, specific peer-to-peer celebration, making recognition a daily habit, not some rare event. All right, as you start to implement this blueprint, it's just as important to know what not to do. So here are the common default behaviors that you really need to actively steer away from. The path forward is really a conscious choice. On the left, you see all the old habits that hold teams back. And on the right, you see the teamship practices that unlock high performance. Your job as a team is to be really intentional about moving from that left column to the right column, consciously replacing those old defaults with these much more powerful behaviors. And that really gets to the heart of it. This isn't just a set of new management tactics to try out. It's a fundamental reimagining of how teams can and really should operate to achieve those breakthrough results. So the journey starts right now. You have the blueprint, you have the operating system, and you've got the first steps. The final question is for you and your team. What does winning actually look like for you? Use this as the starting point for that conversation and begin your shift to teamship. If you have a book in mind that should be added to our list, comment below. If this blueprint helped you, subscribe, like, and build with us. More blueprints are coming. Stay intentional, stay consistent. We are doing this one book at a time. And remember, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So share this with them and grow together. Real progress becomes stronger when it is shared. Build your life one blueprint at a time. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you do.